Hello, teacher. This is my portfolio. This portfolio is part of the course Work Plan Autonomy and Language Learning Environments. Profile of the case. My name is Andres Pereira, age 28 years old, Houghton, Cali, Colombia. Bachelor degree, Business Administrator, ICESI. Parallel case. Name, Brian David Castillo Concha. Age, 11, Houghton, Huacari, Valle del Cauca. Occupation, student, uh, 11th grade. Uh, the What is the methodology to learn English? I learned the language on the T2 method in the informal institution called the University Training Center in the English. In this case, the parallel case methodology, community approach, school, skill, listen, speaking, reading and reading, technique, problem solving. Autonomy for life love, learning case. In my case, I get to recognize all my strength, weakness, and the person. A person and the autonomous communicator. I have resort to attending now as a daily field. In which is a quality strength in the third aspect that allowing me to reach the conclusion. That is the present introduction of the shipper, in which I take as the starting point and as in which a people have been influenced and the individualization I am I am for it. How do you have raising my autonomous component, as well as alluding to scenarios I lay to strength. I will share, uh, for example, how I am. I describe myself as an optimist. I hide away. I consider serenity and the clan. In this case, in this case, a parallel case, uh, then to apply a quantitative survey and observation technique, uh, I conclude, I infer, these listening characteristics are taken from study of the students. As an autonomous learning, he creates context of the personal learning. Harris is a curious, creative person who like to put into the price what they learn. He is a person who goes from the theoretical to the practical. This is a person who creates his how language from previous experiences, that is, he created new languages, copying the old, while he learning the classroom or possibility learning by digital tool and breaking. With the new collaboration is true in the classroom. As an autonomous person, Kurariri has a real aspect. He's a person who challenging himself, which hold me to be recourse in the face of the challenging and have the ingenuity to be able to solve in with or without instruction. He's an autonomous communicator. He is how taught to communicate His thought issues a way that engaging is his communication, that is, he influence, no impulse, his message. This is a person with a he demonstrate the other that way he's saying and the statement is support by his action. According to the study by Anderson, the metacognitive process on the language learning, five components. The first component is preparing the planning for learning. In my case, I always try that each of the activities to propose to my student within the classroom is participatory and collaborative. This demands that time for design of the dynamics to be carried out and the complementing material. In the role as the student, I try to the word I am to play, but with the help of the available digital tool, have a calendar that I will allow me to organize myself in the such a way I can respond to each of my duties, such an alert system, which allow me to know in what state the activity is, how much time I have left for the delivery date, etc. In the situation of the parallel case, I believe that he has something in favor that help him to always be prepared and motivation. He's always ready to learn new things based on the fact he always tries to associate the new term with the previous experiences, life inside the classroom as well as outside personal, academic, cultural, or sport experiences. The second component, the metacognition, excellence, and the using strategies. In my case, in the role of the teacher, I would like for different mechanisms that allow the design of the activities to be carried out from quality strategies such as role play, conversation, individual or collective presentation, dance, reading on the text, and from quality strategies with initial, intermediate, and different questionnaires to identify improves in the development of the detailed strategies implemented, as well as having a better knowledge of the profile of the learning. In my role as the student, as an initial strategy is to read to guides without the parameter for the realization of the activity. Then I read each of the biography reference and in those cases I wish consider that there are concepts that I don't understand or don't consider that Darren clear with the reading address. I investigate of the internet on different platforms of to have a better understand of the concepts. In the situation of the parabolic case, the most commonly used strategy is the engagement with the concept. When he was to know about a topic, he always let me know the other bibliographic source can find information. In addition, he says always asking me question about topic that, no matter how insignificant, because development then with the class. Your strategy is based mainly on the reactive position, way of the topic to work on the depth. After the your intestine irrelevant begins to do action mentioned above. Monitoring learning. In my case, a volunteer teacher, I must be prepared in the scenario in which My student present difficulty to the guide and then in the best way for the achieve of the activity and therefore of the learning process. Is personalized in the value is taken from and the action of the activity observation. That is, my function as the teacher is to know my student better from personal, family, economic to educational context. What is the maybe than some of the impact of their learning process, but a positive and negative. In situation of the parallel case, B is very nature. Being a curious person allowed to identify in the face of the problem arising from whatever the academic or personal context. It is always willing to change the plan if the necessary case such an producer inside giving result implement of the action that allow you to reach the result and in the case of the learning in the second language. Is graded. Result is to understand to that there are always different ways of the learning and is all apprehension is the best way to show that what is the using as the strategies is it a way to apprehension of the language. Evaluating learning, the five component, the metacognition. In my case, a volunteer teacher, the most used tool to evaluate my student focus on the evaluation, qualitatively with individual and the group work, workshops, assignment, and presentation. Structured exams, but qualitative with the self-evaluation. In my case, as the student, the most used tool by the teacher as well as a tool for monitoring my learning process at the grade of the age of the report activities, as well as both positive and negative observation regarding exciting and the learning. In the situation of the parallel case, the most used tool is focused on the grade and feedback received by each of his teachers. In the provided lesson he has had with me, the feedback after the development of the each of the sides on the structures exam are the best way for him to know his progress as well as his own self-evaluation in the interesting of the learning. I'm waiting to learn to the language, which are two different too. The interest way will very depend on the responding to a specific topic. An example with the decided is reflect is the constant decided to learn and the is are really doing it. Finally, to present the case analysis, mm, in the situation of the parallel, is observed that it uses self-direction as self-regulate learning for the learning English. In my case, I self-regulate. In the case of the parallel case, the nation is take with or without gains it observed to identify its difference in the learning process, a big to formulate strategies to achieve the goal as well as identify the result that is has our own in both physical, digital, virtual, human, as well as a measure and evaluate is the progress. Also, my parallel case is self-regulate Learning is evidenced in the scenario which he exercises and control duration of the his learning, defined with issues with the process of the language mastery makes more emphasis to know and depend. Eh, I have a similarly why parallel case in the process and the learning English uh, and have to control to about precipitation and take the necessary time in the put activities. But uh, sorry, in my case, I use a self-regulate learning. I have the control to avoid precipitation and take the necessary time in the input activities. This is the man that is the task counted by the complexity, the walls, the ways, not the ways, of the working and the label on the illustration in addition to the one that establishes the remain on the learning. Now, I consider that I have similarity with my parallel case in this taking the initiative learning English with the difference that today I have a better development in all required the instruction to learn comparing to my case. We clear intentionally of the we student in with a control in the learning process, which I consider that my parallel case has in more structure to have the instruction, the curriculum plan, and the learning objectives as I might clear by the separative practice on his all these topics. In this case, is more random. We both have defined that learning is done from and with other. That is the why the act of the sharing is determined by the need to be unit with other and in that case we both about have haven't haven't. But it consider that I had it better development due to the greater preparation time. But he also looks for a way to be able to relate to other, to able to put his knowledge into the practice. It is made more difficult for him by environment, but he is still strives. Um, the experience to create the digital portfolio and the question, the process, the autonomy learning was wonderful to make because I reflect about my process, the uh, learn, autonomy learning. I understand uh, we learning the method to practice is configured in decoding. I love to learn throughout videos on YouTube, the movies, material shared by influencer in on the legends in TikTok, how to pronounce a word or the colloquial language. It look for infography on different page, include the reference in the new networks to contain expand the vocabulary. Real, realizing the digital portfolio uh, that allow You understand the characteristics, the process, the autonomy learning. And I consider I have some characteristics that allow a, a person independent in my students. Characteristics, for example, self-regulation, uh, control of the time, planning and the strategies, monitoring the process, apply cognitive skills in take this responsibility in the process of the learning. Mm, in the tasks, uh, I use the morally level illustration, memorize it, relationship, and activities within the skills, cognitive skills. And for example, the Kodai mm, uh, thinking freely. Mm, what else? What else? Evaluate youths, creativity, uh, critical thinking, propose the solution, uh, propose the goals. Uh, Doing uh, the digital portal in the semester was wonderful experience in the development uh, to put the theoretical and practical concept in the uh, real practice. I learning in the parallel case mm, is important. Uh, I had control in the plan, but I don't like the structure, the structure to learn English, but it's the random. But it's like interesting to apply a method in the learning English in the process the autonomy learning.